commentator is Noppers. Google Army Officer World War II and you'll find an endless supply of comparisons and histories, but most of it aimed at the command level. Think Patton or Rommel, or Band of Brothers. You may even find yourself reading things like The Successful Lieutenant or The Officer at Work. Not really that practical for something simple like leading a squad in Hell Let Loose. Right now there are probably a bunch of folks I've just triggered by using the words simple and leading in the same sentence here, because in fairness to them, squad leading can be quite challenging. I've stated previously that this is arguably the hardest role in Hell Let Loose, and I stand by that statement because it's true. You are the meat in the sandwich of gameplay. Everyone wants a piece of you for something. Build more Garrys. Build nodes, please. Defend that area. Attack that area. Update your tank markers. Place an OP. Redeploy on the airhead, please. Send me a supply guy. Where's your anti-tank guy? Call in artillery fire. Throw smoke and grenades. Clear that building. And it goes on and on. To be realistic, this role is more of an NCO role. Perhaps a corporal or maybe a sergeant. For whatever reason, it's an officer in this game, although players do call it squad lead as well. So regardless, we're going to explore this role in depth and look at ways of helping you improve your skills in leading a squad. For reference, I've been both an NCO and officer in my professional military career. The officer loadout is one of the most comprehensive kits you can get in the game. The Allies receive the following: a Thompson submachine gun, a Colt M1911 pistol, 2 Mark II frag grenades, 2 M18 smoke grenades, two bandages, a watch for garrison and observation post placement, and binoculars. The Axis forces receive an MP40 submachine gun, woohoo! A Luger P08 pistol, 2 M43 shell hand grenades, they're frag, 2 NB39 Nebel hand grenades, which are smoke, 2 bandages, a watch, same as before, and a pair of binoculars for spotting birds. As with the other roles, when you begin levelling up, you will gain access to additional weaponry. For the Allies, it's the M1 carbine and M1 Garand. And for the Axis, it's the Gewehr 43 or G43 and the Carabiner 98K or K98. Because there's a lot of content in this video, I won't be going through the weapons in depth, but since they sound so good, let's at least hear test firing. Here's the Thompson. And now the Colt. Now the MP40. And of course the Luger. Anyway, strap on, it's going to be a long one. So, where to start? Firstly, I will stress this officer role and leadership stuff is all very subjective, so it is hard to give you specific advice. Leadership is very reliant on your individual personality, skills, and intelligence. In my definition, it is a blend of calm, assertive influence over others. You might be a super happy chatterbox, or have your troops marching up and down a square, or something in between. You don't want to be the officer where comms is a series of crickets chirping. Your squad expects you to communicate. Your focus therefore should be encouraging your squad to follow your guidance, providing them with the information they need to project combat force for your team, and meeting one up intent, which is the commander's needs. Sounds really deep, doesn't it? Well, this video will focus on the flow of a battle and ideas on how to inject your leadership into the game. Note that this also generally applies to the commander role as well. There's some key assumptions I've made here. You're leading a bunch of people you probably don't really know. You understand all of the infantry roles and have some competency in them. You've tried tanks out. You understand some of the basics of artillery. And you generally understand how garrison and outpost functionality works, like how to actually get rid of them. You've picked Create a New Squad, and you're now the officer. Whee! Folks will now start joining your squad. Say hello and see what you get back. Same language, quiet players, chatty. Some folks will ask straight away, hey, what role do you need me in, mate? But I usually respond with, whatever you're happy with, mate. I like to welcome everyone as they join, perhaps chat a bit, and then I ask folks to make sure they work as a squad or please move on to another squad. In this way, I set up some early expectations because I want the squad to work together, and I politely get rid of the folks who are just filling holes. You can do this as the battle goes on too. Also, make yourself known in the command channel. Something like, Bravo squad reporting in. Let your other officers and the commander know you're on comms and listening at least. The idea is to establish comms early and build some immediate trust and engagement, and it will help you influence others later. Depending on load times and where you spawn in, you may be the first one to be putting down a garrison. Regardless, you will be required to put down a garrison at some stage, and your squad OP all the time. There are a few points that are common across all maps and battle types. Firstly, try to use your own supply guide, like here, instead of the commander's supplies from airdrops, for garrisons. Encourage one of your squad mates to redeploy as this support role as required. Second, make sure you are regularly checking the map as the battle progresses, maybe every 1 or 2 minutes, and make sure there are sufficient garrisons to counter enemy flanking maneuvers. The commander should manage this, but don't assume. You need to think ahead. If it looks like you're going to take a checkpoint, you're going to want garrisons up as soon as possible. If it looks like your team will lose a checkpoint, are there backup garrisons? It's your job to help answer these questions and correct any deficiencies, and do it early or you'll find your team well on the back foot. Finally, you also need to manage your OP. It's your fastest way of deploying, mostly, and a sneaky flanking tool. So before you place it, work out what effect you are after. If you are just looking for a point to spawn in as close to the enemy as possible or an objective, then put it within 100 meters of that objective and more than half a grid square away from friendly garrisons, so that you have 2 options in that area in case one of them falls. If you are looking to be sneaky, put it about 1 to 2 grid squares away from your objective so that if your squad dies, the enemy don't immediately find it again. Yes, it takes longer to run in, but the point of the OP in this case is to provide you with an FOB, or forward operating base, which is no good if the enemy finds it easily. Whether the enemy find it or not, make sure you refresh its location routinely or rebuild it when it's destroyed. It can be redeployed every 2 minutes. Placement of these things relies on terrain knowledge a little. You have to predict enemy lines of advance and avoid laying a garrison or OP on those lines if you don't think your team can hold them. But as officer, you are responsible for setting up this stuff so that the other 40 or so members of your team can spawn in and fight as quickly and as efficiently as possible. You may even need to stay on a garrison or OP in defense while your team moves forwards. You may hear the commander complaining about nodes. That's these things. The thing with nodes is your engineer can put them down anywhere, but that isn't very effective. You want to be placing them way forwards to get maximum return. If you don't understand how this works, and to be honest, my knowledge here is a bit shaky, Google is your friend. Generally speaking, every battle will have a few people who know how this works and just look after it anyway, so novices can probably avoid dealing with it. But when the commander's asking, at least be part of the conversation. Don't assume someone else is doing it, or nobody will. Encourage a squad mate to play engineer when you need one. Your squad members have stuck with you so far because they think you have potential, or they don't want to be an officer, or the other squad leaders suck. What they're after now is information. Some are needier than others. I'm looking at the AT guys here. There are a number of elements to good communications in this game and good comms in general. First, don't be afraid to use the tools you have. I'm talking about the damn ping and indicating system. Your job as officer is not to get lots of kills, that's your squad's job. So you should have time to give indications to your mates and team. Infantry markers, tank markers, calls for artillery, and so on. Each of these things provides notification to others of a particular threat, and they can absorb the information because they have eyes. When you mark something, call it out in chat. For example, drop a tank marker on the map and then state in squad chat, enemy tank marked, and then in command chat, enemy tank Bravo's marker. Second, general voice comms. Something that is a work in progress for me also. When spotting infantry that you want your squad to shoot at, there's two styles. Here's the first. Enemy sighted. Shit, right in front of you. Just the side of that building. Dude, he's on your right. Or alternatively, enemy infantry bearing 260, range 50 meters. My ping. Guess which one is more useful? Your squad should be giving indications similar to this, or at least pinging, so you can mark threats with the indicator system. Thirdly, officers and commanders can suffer from micromanaging or over-informing. Short, sharp and shit-hot is what you're after. When fully engaged with the enemy, the last thing you want is cluttered voice comms. KISS also applies. Keep it simple, stupid. So, identify your plan early and pass it on to the squad. Then shut up about it and let them execute it. For example, okay guys, we're going to push down this head road towards my attack marker please. Deploy on my OP and push as the squad, thanks. More about this later anyway. While your squad is communicating on the attack, you can turn your attention to seeking further support in the command channel. Maybe another squad to help, RD, HE or smoke rounds, tank support and so on. Regardless, your comms needs to be succinct on all channels so that others can hear themselves think. Plus, if you're talking, you're probably not observing or listening very well, and a big chunk of your job is to have your eyes and ears open so you can pass on threats. Finally, pass on information to your squad that comes from the command channel, and vice versa. Listen to your squad mates. A lot of them are probably more experienced than you are and can really help you lead well. Your squad has two main jobs, attack and defend. There are a number of players who for some reason only ever want to be on the attack, even though defensive fights can generally give you a higher kill count, so I don't know what the hell they're after. The game is a blend of attacking and defending, and you have to lead your squad in doing both, and not be Rambo, unless you're the machine gunner. You're not the point man anymore. You're the comms link between command and squad, as well as manager of 50,000 other things. There's a place for attacking and defending and fighting with your squad, but your focus should be on coordinating and assisting rather than just running and gunning. This means that when the team is asking for assistance on defence, you don't wait 5 minutes then decide to help or don't help at all. By then you've already screwed your team over. Whether you are on attack or defence, liaise with the commander and the other officers. Share the load. Identify threats and opportunities and communicate them. Be agile enough with your squad to pivot to deal with a threat. Redeploy your squad to defend as soon as possible, but in conjunction with what the other squads are doing. If an airhead's going up, think about whether your squad could redeploy onto it. When on the assault, coordinate it with your squad. I've said it before, many squads are just a bunch of individuals running forward individually and dying individually. Don't be that squad. Collect your squad together and advance together. Use smoke to support their advance. Get your assault guy, you always have one, to throw smoke as well. Grenade past the smoke into the enemy strong point with HE and then push with the squad, but let them be up front. Chances are that you might survive and you can potentially then drop your OP down once you take that area. Officers are frequently seen on the artillery, sometimes with squad mates, but artillery is a real love-hate function and you do really need to understand it before you use it in battle or you will absolutely piss your team off. If you don't know much about artillery, get onto an empty server and have a play around with it. Maybe take a friend with you and learn how the artillery works together, including how rounds impact and how shifting your bearing or elevation shifts the impact point. Use an online artillery calculator. I say again, use an online artillery calculator. Understand the costs of artillery and how quickly you can churn through resources by using it, particularly if you have a loader. Google is your friend for videos and guides on artillery also. A good artillery player will do the following. Will ensure that he or she is in the officer role so that comms is established in command chat for fire support requests. They will use an online artillery calculator. They will fire small groups of artillery, for example 3 or 4 rounds into an area of effect and then stop firing. They will try to avoid shooting unless artillery is called for or there is a known enemy strong point or spawn point or something. They will only use smoke when a squad or the commander is seeking smoke support. They will understand what adjustments to bearing and elevation mean in real terms on the ground, and they will get off the artillery and back to supporting their squad once the fire missions are complete. Make no mistake, the officer is a hard role to play. Although this is just a game and should be fun, by taking on the officer role, you have a direct effect on the enjoyment of a bunch of other people. So think hard about whether you want that responsibility. Please insert your own Spider-Man reference here about great power and all that shit. But the truth is, you've got to be willing to put aside some of the normal FPS gameplay and be prepared to die a little more because your concentration is going to be on a range of other things. My final key takeaways for you to consider. Don't saturate the voice channels. If there's a lot of voice going on in command and squad chat, let your squad know you're struggling to hear. Give your squad clear direction on what you want and let them do it. Be agile and willing to shift your focus when required. Check the map. Lots. Build your OP and keep it up. Learn artillery better, at least how to get someone to support your squad. Learn key terrain features on the maps to better assault and defend. And if you're asked to defend, don't wait. Get back there and defend. Learn from your mistakes. And the last one is calm, assertive, influential. That's what you want to be. Hopefully this has provided some insight into aspects of leadership and how they can be applied to this game. Ultimately, I would love to see more people try out the officer role. You've got to start somewhere. So if you do, congratulations, and talk to your squad as they will help you learn and improve your skills. Best of luck all, and I'll see you in a squad.